All right, let's get right into it. We're going to tackle one of history's most fascinating and honestly, kind of unsettling questions. We're going to look at the people whose single actions literally sent shockwaves across entire civilizations.
So, who were they? I mean, when I say deadliest assassin, what pops into your head? Probably some super stealthy person in a cool black hood doing a backflip off a rooftop, right? Maybe some throwing stars are involved?
Yeah, no, we are not talking about them. Let's just, get that out of the way right now. Forget the video games, forget all the shadowy movie conspiracies.
We're talking about the real ones. The people who, with just one bullet, or maybe a single blade, completely redrew maps, shattered massive empires, and totally altered the course of history for millions and millions of people. That's what we're focused on.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to go way, way back, like 2,000 years back, to meet the original blueprints, the archetypes of the history-altering assassin.
So let's start in Rome with a name you've probably heard, Julius Caesar. A bunch of senators, with Marcus Junius Brutus as the front man, decided that Caesar was getting a little too big for his britches. One very famous, very public assassination later, and boom, the entire Roman Republic starts to crumble, which eventually leads to the rise of the Roman Empire. One act and a total geopolitical rewrite.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. This slide shows you the two main ways to become infamous. On one side, you've got Brutus. He pulled it off. He succeeded and the world was never the same. But on the other side, you have Jin Kai from ancient China. He actually failed to kill the guy who would become China's first emperor. But his attempt was so bold, so gutsy, that it became this legendary story of defiance. So you see, you can succeed and change the world, or you can fail in spectacular fashion and become a symbol.
Okay, let's move on, because the actual word we use for this, it has a pretty wild origin story. This wasn't just a person who did a thing, it was a brand, and it was engineered to create pure terror.
Ever wonder where that word assassin even comes from? Well, there you go. It's from Hashashin, which was the name for the followers of this guy, Hassan I Sabbah. He ran this incredibly organized, deeply feared network of operatives back in medieval Persia.
And this is the point, right here. What Hassan I Sabbah did that was so revolutionary wasn't just the killing, it was weaponized fear. He turned assassination from, a one-off act of desperation into a systematic psychological tool of power. He built a brand so terrifyingly effective that its name is still with us 1,000 years later.
Okay, let's jump forward a few centuries. Because when the world gets more connected, that butterfly effect from a single assassination gets exponentially more powerful. The dominoes don't just fall anymore, they shatter entire continents.
Just look at these two moments. In 1865, right as the U.S. Civil War is ending, John Wilkes Booth kills Abraham Lincoln. That single act threw the whole project of reuniting the country into chaos for decades. And then, fast forward to 1914, a teenager, Gavrilo Princip, is in Sarajevo and he pulls a trigger.
His target was Archduke Franz Ferdinand. And the result? Well, this whole tangled mess of imperial alliances just caught fire. It ignited World War I. Just look at that number. Over 15 million dead. A global catastrophe, all sparked by one bullet from a 19-year-old.
I mean, that's an almost unbelievable thought, right? The actions of one young man, completely fueled by nationalism, just reshaped the entire globe and violently dragged the world into the 20th century. It's a terrifying reminder of the power a single individual can have.
So as we keep moving through the 20th century, does a pattern start to emerge? Well, we see this same story play out again and again and again. Different actors, different ideologies, but a strangely similar history-shattering impact.
This table really shows the pattern and the devastating irony in every single case. Lee Harvey Oswald kills JFK, and suddenly trust in the U.S. government is just shattered for generations. Nathuram Godse uses a gun to murder Mahatma Gandhi, the world's greatest champion of nonviolence. Yigal Amir murders the Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin moments after he leaves a peace rally. And Khalid al-Eslambouli kills Egyptian President Anwar Sadat during a military parade celebrating his own army, the very people who turned on him for trying to make peace. In every case, the act itself carried this powerful symbolic message that just amplified its destructive power.
So what's driving these people? While the motives can range from intense ideology to nationalism or religious extremism, sometimes they're just pawns in a much larger game. But there's almost always one thing in common. They believe they are the hero. In their own minds, they aren't destroying the world.
They think they're fixing it.
And that brings us to our final and maybe most powerful takeaway. When you look across all of these stories, from ancient Rome all the way to the modern day, one conclusion becomes, well, chillingly clear.
You don't need an army, you don't need a state, you don't need huge amounts of resources to fundamentally redirect the river of history. All it really takes is one person, with a cause and a weapon.
And that simple fact is maybe the most dangerous and unpredictable force in all of human history.
Which kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We've spent all this time looking at the immense destructive power a single person can have. But does that power flow both ways? Can one person, with one act, actually change the world for the better?